Right, welcome to this complete army video. It's for the Tau Empire. I've been working on this revamped army for a while. There's a good number of Tau battle reports on the channel at the moment, but now finally my revamped list is complete. I've been experimenting. I had a list that I've been using in a number of games. It's done okay, and the Tau have been performing pretty good. But this is my tweaked final list here that's come from the Plus channel. Sort of done an army development video for the Tau, plenty of suggestions, lots of options still available for them, but in this video I'm pretty happy with this final list. I've literally just finished varnishing the last few of the models. That's models that I've revamped. I've taken some of the older models that I had. I've started collecting Tau years ago now, and I've got back into Warhammer 40,000, and then that colour scheme was okay, and then I've revamped it, and it's now that orange and grey colour scheme that you see in the different battle reports. There is a painted tutorial for the Tau, which is on the channel here, if you like the way these models look when you take a closer look at them. But in this video I'm going to go through the list. I'm going to try and add the list to the description below, so you can follow it along by looking at the video description. That'll give you the full list and the points, costs and so on. And in this video I'm just going to put the army together, draw the list out, bring the units in, and then we'll talk about things like strategy and tactics, relics and warlord traits and so on that I've used in this list as well. Right, so a little bit about the Tau. They're sort of an army that's based on firepower, and so that's the emphasis for them. No psychers, so you can forget about that. In close combat, virtually no resources for close combat at all, and so the idea is to keep them out of combat and then to destroy your opponent from as far away as possible. Usually is the best option for the Tau. They do that by clever tactics, united and teamwork, fighting, units covering each other and so on. So you've got that sort of units backing each other up, and then sort of masses of firepower, well coordinated firepower coming from multiple directions. And the Tau ideally want to sort of wipe out whole units and armies to avoid the close combat phase. If you destroy half the opponent's army but half of their army reaches you in close combat, the Tau will still be in trouble. So the idea is to mercilessly, and you do have to be merciless, just delete as many units as possible and break whatever army you face. So that's the idea, is to try and construct an army that's deadly with its firepower. That's been the main emphasis for my force. But having said that, you can't just form a defensive block and fight everything. You've got to be able to move around the table and grab objectives and so on, try and get line breaker, move across the board, flush units out from cover and so on. So there's got to be, yes, that base of firepower, but also that mobility and assault potential as well. So I tried to have that element in this Tau army as well. So my army is competitive, not the most competitive that you can do. It's sort of based on units that I really like, and the structure of the army I sort of like. I think it's a good representation of what the Tau are all about, but you'll see that as we go along. So the first thing here is the structure I've gone for, and that is a brigade detachment here, which is 9 command points, 12 command points now for a brigade, and that gives me loads of command points, and that is an excellent resource to have. So I highly recommend taking a brigade for the Tau if you can. I mean, it's quite, you'll see how I've accomplished it here, but it's been quite straightforward to do it. But for a brigade you have to take 3 HQs, 6 troops, which is quite easy to do with Tau, 3 elites, 3 fast attack and 3 heavy support, and if you fulfill all of that you get your 12 command points, and the army's going to be battle forged, so 15 command points. It's about the most command points I have in any of my armies, so really glad to have that many, and you can just start using loads of different stratagems and so on, really just to add some great bonuses. As we'll see later on, we'll cover some of my favourites that I like to use for this Tau force. So with that in mind, I say you have to be merciless with the Tau. I've learned from experience with them. You know, you don't feel bad when you blow away whole loads of units from your opponent's army, and they can annoy them, but the Tau, you have to do that. If you do not destroy units quickly and effectively, and if they get close and into close combat, then you're going to be in trouble. So you've got to go about it in a very cold and calculating, deadly firepower, and your opponent may not like it, but that's how you're going to get your victories for the Tau. So don't hold back with your firepower and just show no mercy, which I often enjoy doing, especially against James's Guard and Ultramarines, but the Tau have been struggling against them in more recent times. So we'll build this list up and I'll sort of bring the units in as we go along. So I'll just start my list here. Tau Empire 2000 points. This is a 2000 points army. 8th edition. That's the newer codex that we're using here. So keep a lookout for new Tau battle reports. They're gradually going to be filtering through. There's been a good spread of them already, but keep a lookout for this new list. A couple of games are going to have them not entirely finished, and then after the filming of this video, you'll see the completely finished armies battle reports start to appear with on both of the channels with this revamped finished list. I've been trying out different combinations, but I finally settled on what I think will work best. So there's a couple of things here. For the greater good, I'll cover all the tactics here just to help you build your own Tau force. So for the greater good, most units have this. When an enemy unit declares a charge, a unit with this ability within 6 of one of the charging enemy units targets may fire Overwatch as if they're also targeted. You're restricted, you can't. The unit that does so cannot fire Overwatch again this turn. So you've got a unit of Fire Warriors here, and then next to them within 6 is another unit of Fire Warriors. That one unit gets charged, the other ones can fire Overwatch in support as well. So there's a big incentive for you to pack your units together. Bearing in mind you are going to have to move out and grab objectives later on, but sort of a fire base, a core of your army that's going to look after each other, and if they get charged they can all mutually support each other with firepower. Seems to work really well for the Tau. The other incentive to do that is some extra bubbles of bonuses and rerolls available and so on. So you're sort of looking to build a core of your army that sort of sticks together and mutually supports, and I found that very effective as well. So you're not really looking to string your army out all the way across the board. You may need to do that to try and stop deep strikers and so on, but often you want to pack them together in sort of a 6-inch bubble, or if it's 6 inches from the edge, going around at sort of a 12-inch sort of zone, that kind of size. So that's for the greater good. Then there's Master of War, and again this is why you want to keep them packed tight together. Once per battle at the beginning of your turn, a single commander, which is going to be in this list here. That commander can declare over Koyon or Montcar. Koyon, until the end of the turn, you can reroll failed hit rolls for friendly septs. You choose your sept for your army units within 6 inches of the commander, but these units cannot move for any reason. So you remain stationary, and I've done this on turn 1. Got my commander parked in amongst my big 6-inch, 12-inch bubble, and then he activates this Koyon here, and then all the units remain stationary, like my broadside, battlesuits and so on, just get reroll hits. And it's excellent. And it's free, it's well worth making use of that. The other one's Montcar. Friendly sept units within 6 of the commander can both advance and shoot as if they hadn't moved this turn. And you can only use that ability, either of those, once per battle. Yep. But that Koyon there is powerful, and it's well worth taking advantage of it. So one of the things about my Tau is the use of the commander. I used to use him very aggressively, like an ambush deep strike him in, but he just dies too much. So this commander is a bit wiser now, and one of the things that I've started to use him for is to take advantage of this Koyon just here. He's unnamed, by the way, still unnamed, this commander. So again, leave your suggestions. I've seen a lot of suggestions made of still not happy with a final choice for a name. Maybe it'll be this video here that will get a name finally for this Tau commander. But there's a couple of important rules there. Sort of cover strategy as this army is laid out. So it's the commander in the Enforcer battlesuit here. I've gone for this is the first HQ. The Enforcer, you just get an extra wound. So this guy is a few points more. He starts out at 76 points. Movement 8, he's quick enough. So, you know, with an advanced roll, you're on a minimum of 9 inches. Weapon skill and ballistic skill, weapon skill 3+, ballistic skill 2+, that's excellent. Strength 5, toughness 5, 6 wounds, plenty of wounds, 4 attacks, leadership 9 and 3 up to save. I've done a tactics video about Tau commanders. I'm going to stick with the combination I've gone for, which is I pay 84 points. There's a lot of points, but that's for 4 fusion blasters. So here he is, as yet unnamed. It's the newer model. It's the Commander + plastic kit that came out. It's a brilliant kit. If you don't have one of these for your Tau army, it really is a very, very nice model. So very happy with how he's come out. I've modelled 2 fusion blasters on there. I should put 2 more and maybe we'll add that on later on, but a double fusion blaster on him. So that's the commander. If you think of a cool name for him, then by all means put it in the comment section below. So it's firepower I want from him. And as I introduce my units, I'm going to cover a new tactic I've started using for him, which seems to work very well. So he's got man to strike. Yes, he can deep strike down, more than 9 inches away from the opponent. Turn 1 within your own deployment zone, and then turn 2 onwards somewhere else, as long as it's 9 inches away from enemy units. That's handy enough, but I used to do that, and he just, once he lands, the opponent knows he's there and just becomes quite vulnerable. So different tactics being used for him. That is the upgrades I paid. No other upgrades. So he's 160 points. He's nice and reliable, 2-up save, or 2-up ballistic skill for shooting. The fusion blaster, it's like a Tau melter gun here. I think it's excellent. It really is good. So fusion blast is range 18. It's a nice range. 18 is not a bad range for that caliber of a gun. Assault 1, so you can make his advanced move and still shoot it. And then strength 8, so 3s to wound most vehicles. -4, you're going to bypass most armour, and the damage is d6. If you get to 9, it's 2d6, taking the best result. So on a good round of shooting, he will destroy a vehicle, your average vehicle. It's good. I also found him helpful against things like Primaris Marines. 2s to hit, 2s to wound, you bypass the armour, and then d6 damage a time it's 2-up to destroy that model. So he's just as effective against heavy infantry as well. Monsters, really good characters, vehicles, flyers and so on, all very good. So then one of the tactics is to try and protect him by hiding him behind other units. So I try and you'll see me try and do that in game. Sometimes I hide him behind a Ghostkeel. The opponent's got to try and get through the Ghostkeel to get to him, or a gun line. Got to destroy all the infantry to try and get through to the character. So it's well worth, I think, trying to keep him alive. So that's all the rules for him. That's the first HQ. Then the next HQ is an Ethereal. It's very cheap. It's 45 points. I had thought about putting him on this hoverboard type thing here. I haven't really seen the need. He just keeps up with the regular infantry. So that's him. Just here. Those are the old lead ones. So I take him for the buffs that he grants. There's not much else to expect from him. Is, again, yes, he's 3+ weapon skill and 3 attacks, but I expect nothing from him in combat. No shooting ability, so just go straight to these bonuses here. So he is designed to go in amongst my gun line of infantry, and also the broadsides, the heavier battlesuits. Failure is not an option. Tau Empire units within 6 inches, again this is your 6-inch bubble or 12 inches across in total, of a friendly Ethereal may use the Ethereal's leadership characteristic instead of their own. His leadership is 9, so that's a decent leadership, which will help. So I found that useful. Invocation of the elements. In your movement phase, an Ethereal may invoke one of the elemental powers below. And this is the crucial bit here. All friendly Tau Empire infantry, so that's my infantry gun line, and battlesuit units within 6. So that's things like your commander, your broadsides, not vehicles but broadsides as well. They all benefit from it until the start of the next turn. So the first one is Calm of Tides. -1 for any morale tests made for affected units. I don't think I've ever used that. Storm of Fire, reroll hit rolls of 1 in the shooting phase for affected units remain stationary in the movement phase. So yes, I would use that a fair bit. So the broadsides, usually looking to keep them still, to plant them in my defensive gun line, and then they just sit there and then just fire each turn nicely in range of different targets. And so that reroll 1s is nice, gives a nice edge. Usually it's 4+ to hit the target, but reroll 1s just helps you hit above average. So I found that to be very helpful, especially with lots of shots. If If the gun line decides to remain stationary in infantry, then they get reroll 1s as well. So I found that very useful. Sense of Stone is another option. Whenever a model in an affected unit loses a wound, roll d6 on a 6, the unit doesn't lose that wound. And so I found that to be helpful as well. And then Zephyr's Grace. You can reroll the dice for affected units when they advance, and I don't think I've ever used that one either. But the option's there if you need a bit of reliable movement. So that's the benefits there, and you'll see whys in the army as the size of the gun line starts to expand. So that's the Ethereal. The next HQ, I actually got 4. You don't have to take 4, but I've gone for 4 of them. So the next one's the Fireblade. And again, a cheap HQ. It's quite straightforward to fulfill a Brigade detachment for 2,000 points. So he is 39 points. You have to pay 3 points for a Markerlight, so that's 42 points. And then I'll say it now, I give him a relic, which is the Pure Tide Engram Neurochip. Later on in the video, when the army's finished, we'll stand back and you'll see the whole army laid out nicely. And if you want to be kept up to date, by the way, of armies as they come out and keep ahead of time as well, before videos come out on YouTube, check out my Instagram page and you get nice visuals as well. I take pictures of units, especially ones that have just come off the painting desk. I send out pictures just to let everyone see the latest progress and projects. But we'll cover the new chip in just a moment. And we'll bring on the model, which is just there. That's the plastic kit that Games Workshop do. Really nice model, looks really good. If you like the way these models have come out, then there is the painting tutorial here on the channel, so you can check that out in the painting tutorial section, and I'll show you from start to finish how to paint these. It was a broadside in the video. I apply the same technique to all of the units, all of the infantry and vehicles and so on, so you can check that video out. And then for the bigger projects on the Plus channel, the link to that's in the description below. There is an in-depth painting tutorial for the tower, and then I'll show you how to paint the Storm Surge. That's one of the biggest models for the tower, and so probably the biggest paint tutorial I've done. I'll show you from start to finish how to do that big project using the same technique. So the Fireblade does have some important uses. There's 2 things I like to use them for. One of the issues for the tower is Markerlights. So in previous lists, and this is down through the different editions, I always struggle with having Markerlights and needing them, and then the opponent knowing that they're important and then just blowing them away. So now in 8th edition, one of the ways to protect Markerlights is to fire them from units that are characters. That way the opponent will struggle to try and get rid of them. And so the Fireblade here is a character, and he's able to take the Markerlight here. So I pay 3 points, give him the Markerlight, and what's great about him is his ballistic skill, which is 2+. So now you've got a very reliable Markerlight shot. You know, potentially 2+ if he doesn't move, and then with the help of the Ethereal, rerolling 1s. So it's an exceptionally reliable Markerlight hit. And what I do, I introduce the sort of stratagems as we go along. There is a stratagem here for the tower called Uplinked Markerlight. You pay 1 command point for it. Use the stratagem after an enemy unit has been hit by Markerlight. So you fired your 1 Markerlight hit, nice reliable shot. You get your hit, you play the stratagem, and you basically gain an extra D3 Markerlight hits. And it's good because you're aiming to get those Markerlights, as many as possible. Because just a reminder here, so 1 Markerlight hit is your reroll 1s against that target. Then 2, so I try and get to 2, destroying a Seeker missile. I've got a lot of Seeker missiles in this list. Fired at this unit, fired using the model's ballistic skill instead of 6s. Usually it's 6s to hit with those missiles. Get your 2 Markerlight hits against that target, and all of a sudden you can fire at your normal ballistic skill. So it's important I try and get to 2. Then 3 is no cover allowed, which is, you know, no bonus for that. And then 4, Tower Empire units attacking this unit do not suffer the penalty of moving, firing heavy weapons or assault, or advancing and firing assault. That's okay. And then 5 or more, which is quite rare I get to that, but it's +1 to your hit rolls, which is a great bonus if you're able to reach it. So I'm sort of looking, the aim of my arm is to try and get at least 2 Markerlight hits on an important target, important targets each turn. So I'm trying to look for that. Those 2 Markerlight hits. So Fireblade is a big help towards that. And then he's tough enough. I give him the relic because his character is hidden. He's going to be in amongst the defensive lines. He's going to be one of the last models to die, and he's pretty well protected. 4 up, save, 5 wounds. He's a better option to give the relic to than the Ethereal, who's got a 5 up save, so not much. So the other one is volley fire. Models in Sept, Tau Sept, by the way, I've gone for units within 6 inches. Very friendly, Sept Cadre Fireblade. So again, it's this 6-inch bubble here. Can fire an extra shot with pulse pistols, pulse carbines, and pulse rifles when you're shooting at a target within half the weapon's range. So pulse rifle is what I use. Within 15 inches, you get in your rapid fire 2 shots, then becomes 3 shots with the help of the Fireblade. And it's not just one unit; it is all units within 6. In fact, actually, I remember what a subscriber pointed out here. Yeah, models. So again, and this is one of the reasons why recently I've been keeping the gun line packed tight within 6. Not units, model within 6 and then strung out. Because for this to work, you need to have models within 6. Any models outside of 6, even if their parent unit is within, they'll not get the bonus. You've got to pack them pretty tight. So just to make sure you get all that volley fire potential. So that's that. And does it say shooting phase? Nope. May fire an extra shot and just list them. So you will get that bonus in the assault phase in Overwatch as well. It's a massive incentive to crowd your fire warriors around this guy, and that's what I've been trying to do recently. It used to be the philosophy of spread your gun line all the way across the board, big long battle line. But no, I instead pack them in to maximise the benefits there. So I'll cover the Sept here. It's Tau Sept I've gone for. It's a coordinated fire arcs. I like it. It's just an easy bonus to remember, and it's a good one. When you have this tenant uses there for the greater good, you use your Overwatch bonus, or when they fire Overwatch whilst they're within 6 inches of a friendly Tau Sept unit, a 5 or a 6 is required for a successful hit roll, irrespective of the firing model's ballistic skill or any modifiers. So the Overwatch is doubled in effectiveness. 6s to hit becomes 5s, and it's a massive benefit. It's just brilliant. It really is good, especially if you've got a tightly packed gun line, bristling with fire warriors and broadsides and so on. All of a sudden, all that firepower's coming towards you on 5+. So excellent. Yeah, really good. So cheap HQs I've got here, but they really enhance the gun line. They're pretty good. So that's the Fireblade. I did declare the relic here, so you get 1 relic for free. This is the one that I've chosen. So the Pure-Tide Engram Neurochip. It's one you want to keep on the table as long as possible. Once per battle, you can reroll a single hit roll, wound roll, or damage roll made for the bearer, or a friendly Sept unit within 6 of the bearer. Easy to forget that, but I've started to remember it recently, and a helpful reroll is excellent. In addition, if your army's battle forged and the bearer is on the battlefield, so that's him just parked on the table, better than the commander who may be off in Manta Strike. Roll a d6 each time you or your opponent uses a stratagem. On a 6, you gain a command point. Yeah, I've got 15 command points to use up for loads of stratagems, plenty of chances to get them command points back on a 6, and your opponent as well. It's an excellent way to generate, and usually in a game, generate 2, 3, 4, 5 extra command points or more if you have a good game with that new chip. And it's massive benefit to have that. So that's the best option, I think, for relics, and I think he's the best option to put it on. And by all means, if you disagree with some of the tactics I'm using here, or the structure of the army, or unit choice and so on, then just leave that in the comment section below. Encourage you, if you're watching this, look through the comments, see what other experienced Tau players are saying. You may have seen something, an enhancement to this list that I've not seen, and you can point that out as well. So this is a place here for Tau discussion and trying to help you develop a decent Tau list. and especially for those who are perhaps new to collecting TOW, you've had TOW for a while, but you're looking for help and experience and so on, then hopefully this video is a good resource for you. So last HQ, number 4, is Longstrike. Now not everyone can take Longstrike here because he is TOW Empire and TOW Sept, so he's got to belong to that TOW Sept. So, which is good for me because that's the set that I've gone for. So Longstrike, now he comes in at 137 points. We'll just cover all his cost here. It's 30 points I take the smart missile system. Then 10 points I add 2 smart missile systems. And then also 38 points for the railgun. And that gives a total of 215 points. He is over 200. It's expensive enough, but he's a mighty HQ. I'll just bring the model on here. So for this model, it's just a regular gunship, the hammerhead gunship, and inside that kit you get a guy with binoculars, and so to signify this is Longstrike, this isn't the official model, but the guy with binoculars I think looks just fine for indicating that he is Longstrike, so that's what I've gone for. You can buy the special additional kit for Longstrike, but I think this guy looks fine as he is. I've marked him as an HQ hammerhead with the white markings on here just to show you. And again, for a closer look, check out the tactics video for the hammerheads. It's on the channel here, so you can see that on that video for a closer look. That's hammerhead number 2. He's got the orange plate on here and then white plate here to mark the commander. So I'll just move that out of the way. So that's my last HQ there. And a vital role he performs. So Longstrike here then has 13 wounds and toughness 7. You know, it's like a regular vehicle, but 13 wounds is a lot. You know, it's going to take at least 3 or 4 laser cannon penetrations at least to try and destroy it, let alone try and hit the target, win the target, and so on. So a fair amount of firepower is required to destroy him, and his firepower is going to remain very reliable even down to his very last wound. Here he starts off on ballistic skill 2+, then the next damage bracket is a 3+, and then 4+. So he's coming in on 4+s, even enough with just 1 wound remaining. So an excellent base for firepower for Longstrike. The popular configuration is iron cannons. That's what everyone's going for at the moment. I'm going to go with the railgun because I like the railgun. I just like the look of it. And there's a long legacy of the railgun here on the channel for years and years going back. It was the feared weapon, and so I still like to use it. I still think it's really good. It's a one-shot weapon, which I think puts people off, but the range is excellent. So range 72, and I discuss this a lot on the tactics video for the hammerheads, but 72-inch range. So I'll deploy these usually away from the main battle line and tuck them away in a long distant corner, as far away as possible from the opponent. And that limits the amount of firepower that's going to come in against them. The opponent's going to need very long range firepower to try and reach them. So that's a good way of protecting them. And they can just sit there with their 72-inch range guns and pick on any target they can see. Heavy one. So, but he's on 2s to hit. So it is a one-shot weapon, but it's a very reliable shot. The other great thing is reroll 1s is a possibility for getting Markerlight hits, for example. So 2s to hit reroll 1s is excellent. AP -4, so you're going to bypass the armor on most armored vehicles. And then the damage is D6. Only 6s for a wound, and it's D3 mortal wounds in addition. So there's the potential of 9 damage there. Submunitions, I think it's dreadful, so I hardly ever use it. That's your D6 shot, strength 6 -1 against softer targets. So I give him 2 Seeker missiles. Because Seeker missiles are great. Again, range 72, heavy one, strength 8 -2, D6 damage. When you do get those Markerlight hits and you release those missiles, you're going to be hitting on 2+s, so it's a very efficient use of those Seeker missile systems. So, smart missile system as well, 30-inch range, even though you do deploy right the way back, sometimes there will be targets that appear, so you can fire. It's a double smart missile system, so you actually get 8 shots coming at strength 5. 1 damage and no minus on the AP. Good for flushing out targets because of the ignoring line of sight and cover bonuses. So he's decent, but these bonuses here make him excellent. Tank Ace. You can add one to the wound rolls Longstrike's gunship when it shoots at a vehicle or monster. Most of the time he is firing at vehicles or monsters. So, you know, you're firing at strength 10 here. So, firing at a Bane Blade, for example, you can have 3s to wound, +1 to your wound roll, becomes 2s to wound. So that makes it very reliable for his wounding as well. So, you know, 2s to hit, 2s to wound. It's brilliant. So yes, it's one shot, but it's a very reliable one shot that comes through. It also means your 6+ for causing D3 mortal wounds becomes 5+. So that's also very helpful. Firecast Exemplar. You can add one to the hit rolls in the shooting phase of friendly Tau Sept hammerhead gunships within 6. So you can see they've got hammerhead number 2, and these two will work together. And so hammerhead number 2, you'll always see them nearby to each other, granting that +1 to the hit rolls. So regular hammerhead 3+ to hit becomes 2+ to hit with the help of Longstrike being nearby. So that is excellent as well. Yep. So I just think he's excellent. This one here, I usually miss this one. XV02 Battlesuit. Longstrike's gunship treats the number of Markerlight counters on enemy unit affected by Markerlight's ability as being 1 higher. So you have got your 1 Markerlight hit against a target. It will count as 2 for him, which will be helpful. He'll be able to grant some extra bonuses. So that's excellent as well. So yeah, that's him. So what I'm forming here is a Tau gun line, sort of a cluster of Tau. Then way off in a corner somewhere is 2 hammerhead gunships just operating, moving about and doing their own thing, firing from long range. The idea is that the opponent has to focus on that big Tau gun line, and the hammerheads just sort of get hopefully neglected and ignored, and then whilst that goes on, they're just able to fire that needle, long range, accurate firepower. That's the idea. So you're seeing the army sort of starting to form. So that's the HQs. So we're going to troops next. You need 6 of them to fulfill a brigade. So we'll just push these HQs over here. I'm not sure if I'm going to get all of these models onto the screen. So troops. Some go for a minimum loadout, like units of 5 or 6 models, and people are advising saying you should go for that. I used to go small units, multiple small units for Tau. I just don't like the look of it, and it's annoying having small teams that don't really do very much. I know you can gang them up and so on, but I've gone for sort of bigger units now. I do like the look of it. The first coming up here in the troops section is breaches, which I have gone for. So Tau breaches. I've gone for 2 units of 10. So there's 3 of them. If you don't have these kits, I recommend them. They're beautiful models. They look great. Breaches, different shaped helmets and shoulder pads, and the guns look cool. I just think they're excellent. So that's 1 unit just there. And there's slightly different configuration for the painting. You can see it in the shoulder pads. Is a 2nd unit of 10. That's the leader just there. So yeah, you can go for smaller units. What's the minimum you can do here? 5 you can go for, but I just find them annoying. I like to do larger units, if possible, like a real threat when they're in that kind of size. So, breaches then. 4+ for their shooting, like Tau infantry. 4 up save with their armour, so a bit more dependable. I was running Kroot, you may see that in some of the older games, but my Kroot had just been blasted away very easily. So I've gone for the up armoured breaches and strike teams here. That 4 up armour save just keeps them alive a bit longer. Still, they get shot to pieces a lot of the time. The toughness 3 not really helping them out, but they're cheap enough. Breaches then, 10 of them, is actually 70 points. It's very cheap. And 70 points again. It's 140 points, all of that. All of a sudden, nice big footprint on your army. And filling your army list out nicely. So, the breaches take the pulse blaster, an assault weapon, assault 2, long range is range 15, which you usually get into the range of a target with that. 2 shots, assault 2, and remember you can move your 6 inches, which is quick enough for infantry, plus your advance roll. It'll be -1 to hit, but there's a bit of speed there. 2 shots, strength 4, AP 0, and 1 damage. If you get to within 10 inches, it is Assault 2, Strength 5, -1 on the AP. Pretty good. And then for close range, range 5, if you're able to, and this is sort of like a counter-attacking type unit or a countermeasure, like the opponent deep strikes in very close to my gun line, some Terminators have turned up, something tough, I can send in the breaches, try and soften it up. Assault 2, Strength 6, -2, it's deadly if you can get to it in range, and even pretty effective against vehicles as well. So my use for these, there's not much else to cover here. Yeah, I don't give any upgrades, no upgrades at all, because I expect these to be blown away, and that's what usually happens, they get destroyed. So 2 uses for these for the army. First is a countermeasure, so as I said earlier, something lands too close, send in the breaches. And also they can join in an assault. If I'm doing a counter-attack somewhere or towards any stage in the game, start moving out onto objectives somewhere, you'll see the breaches moving out, trying to clear a path, support other units as they move up the board. So the breaches have a bit of a free roll to move around to different areas. So they'll be away from the usual Tau gun line. These guys will be operating, usually, sort of doing their own thing or supporting other units with more aggressive use for them. So that's the breaches. You know, I can use them, if I'm expecting tons of deep strikers to come down, I can hold them right back, hide them behind crates and hillsides, and then move them out to counter as the need arises. So that's the breaches. Next is the strike team. So this is to bulk out and form my gun line, and my gun line is my anti-hordes. So their aim is just to blow away all the soft stuff, and so I need a lot of them to do that. And I also need them to act as a screen to protect my other units. So to protect other units like the Broadsides, to screen in front of them and around them, and also to protect my characters as well, which I will be trying to use with all their benefits and firepower and so on. So that's their aim, it's just a meat shield. And again, these guys often get blown away, but that's just the way it is for them. There's not much I can do. Strike team here, or fire warriors. Again, units of 10, 70 points. 1, 2, 3, and 4 units of them. These are dry now. I've just finished spraying them. Here. So we'll go. Put this unit here. Picture of these close up is on Instagram. I took a picture of them all together. So that's one of the new units. So these have come out of the old box I had of Tau, all in grey, a bit dusty, and then I revamped them, going into this orange colour scheme here. So it was just a case of not entirely redoing the models, but I sprayed them with varnish first of all, just to cover up the old varnish and to let the washes go on nicely, and then picked out my colours and then chipped them all up and brought them up to the stand. So now the whole army's done. This colour scheme is one of the older units here that I painted up the orange a good while ago. I just love the look of this battle line here. Ranks of fire warriors. This is one of the themes that I wanted to have in this Tau army. I think it just love the fire warrior model. It was so going all the way back. If you go back to the very start of the channel, and then I was doing 40k years. Got back into 40k years before that, sort of 2005, and it was these models. It was the Tau fire warriors that got my interest again into Warhammer 40,000. If it wasn't for these models here, and some of these are some of the first models I bought when I got into 40k, I probably wouldn't be doing this channel. So these Tau go back a long way here, and so they are in even this new list. There's plenty of fire warriors. It just looks great. Just their weapons, nice long-barreled, alien technology looking guns. They look great in their ranks. And all these guns bristling just look great. So there they are, nice, a vast array of fire warriors here. So I've exclusively gone for the pulse rifle because of its range. 30 inches, rapid fire 1. So you get to within 15, you can let off 2 shots each. So, you know, 10 shots a time coming from these units at long range. So the opponent's coming at a distance, 30 inches, just chucking out 10 shots. Then if they get to within 15, a bit dangerous, I can chuck out 20 shots a time. And then if I put my Fireblade and I keep all the models within 6 which is just about like that. So that's the kind of block you're looking at. Then you're chucking out at 15 inches, 30 shots a unit. So 120 shots available from them. And it may sound a lot, but that's the volume of firepower that you need to try and remove units from play. So I've got no regrets here, and I feel no mercy anymore when units are blasted to pieces by these models. So it does feel good when you're able to sort of feel bad and you feel good at the same time when you're blasting away at the opponent. But that's them, and all nicely done. Their orange chipped up colour scheme here. It's really happy with how they've come out. Again, I used to put Markerlights in there, but don't bother anymore. So it's 0 upgrades for these, just 70 points a time. So if they're destroyed, it's just not really much impact at all. And your opponent, to get through to my characters now, your opponent's got to chew his way through all of this stuff, all of them with 4 up saves. Stick them in cover, 3 up save. And so it just makes it harder and harder and harder for the opponent. Just this volume of bodies here to try and get through, and just try and make it as difficult as possible for the opponent to try and break through. Now, the new tactic that I've been doing, and it's worked really good, and that is, in amongst my fire warriors here, I don't want to give too much away to James if he's watching this, but it's to put the commander in here, like so. So now the commander is protected by all of this. The opponent's got to chew his way through all of these units, and you can wrap them around in a way the opponent has to kill every single model to try and get through to him. So that's your protection. This is your anti-infantry stuff, so all your hordes. And then he's got his fusion blasters for killing the nasty stuff. So they benefit each other. They protect him and clear away the hordes, and then he provides the anti-tank ability, and plus the other characters amongst them. And I found in games, he sits still on the first turn or whatever turn, granting rerolls for all of them, so I'm forced to hit rerolling all the dice, so it's excellent. So he grants them that benefit. And then later on in the game, say I've deployed my line sort of 1/3 of the way up the table. I've sat there and I've blasted away different units. The coast looks pretty clear. I'll then start an attack and advance with these. And as they advance, these guys are on the move, firing as they go and clearing away the hordes and so on. And this guy is able to fire at the tanks and the heavy stuff, and the tanks can't respond. They can't get to him because he's protected by all these models. So I found that tactic works really well. Keep a look out for that in the battle reports. This commander, instead of going out doing his own thing and taking risks, instead playing it safe and keeping within the protection here and moving out against different targets. And so I found that mutual protection there working pretty good. So that's why I've been using the commander. It seems to work pretty good. And so the philosophy for him is to try and let him fire at a target every turn. Whatever it is, a Space Marines, a vehicle, anything. Just keep letting those fusion blasters off every turn, picking off stuff, and he soon starts to rack up the damage. It doesn't always have to be like a vehicle or a big monster. It can be heavy infantry just as good. That's the strike teams. I've dropped the crew, they're gone, I'm afraid. They're just too soft, just getting blown away. Does not last in 5 seconds. It was quite sad to see it happen, but that's just the way the crew, toughness 3, 6 up save, no hope. 4 up save, more of a chance. Longer range gun, higher strength. So that's the direction I've gone for, and it's been great to see Fire Warriors densely packing out this force. So that's troops. So go on to elites next. Haven't gone for stealth battlesuits, crisis battlesuits, sadly. I've dropped them from my army as well. No crisis bodyguards. So I need 3 elites. I have to take 3 elites to make this brigade. So the way I've gone about doing this is taking, you didn't used to be able to do this, but I've gone for Firesight Marksman. You can take the lone Marksman by himself, and again I've just finished painting these up, revamping them in the new orange style, but that's them. We'll just manoeuvre these out of the way. Let's push these Fire Warriors back, and then just tuck in my 2 Marksmen here. So that's 2 elites. You can take them individually. They're very cheap. Let's just get the points here. 25 points. in total. I think the 24, and you have to pay for a pistol. Thank you. Oh, 21 points. Right, so there's probably have to pay for the Markerlight on them as well. So armed with a Markerlight, yes, that's 3 points, and a pulse pistol. It's not optional. So you've got to pay 1 point for the pulse pistol, 3 points for the Markerlight, so you get 25 points in total, and that's 1 and 2 of those. So again, they're not just there to fill the slots, they're there to perform a very important function. Remember, I'm lacking on Markerlights here. I did have the Skyray missile defense ship, but it was just getting blown away. I was losing Markerlights from that as well, so I dropped that. And Marksmen here are great because they're characters. Yep, which means the opponent's going to struggle to target them. And so these I'll set these up in vantage points, so high up on a hillside somewhere, at the top of a ruin, just for a nice range. Not miles away from the opponent because the Markerlight is only range 36. So sort of my gun line, I don't put my gun line on the back line. It's too far away, I've found, and it means the opponent can rush straight across the board too much. So I usually deploy them up near the edge of my deployment zone, if not a bit back, and then just say bring it onto the opponent. Come close, and if you want to, just fire at them. It means it creates a gap at the back. So my gun line's here, and that gap at the back, I can keep my hammerheads and the Marksmen tucked behind as well. And it just means the opponent's got to try and get through the gun line in order to reach those guys at the back. But not too far back, the Marksmen, usually in amongst the gun line, just behind it, nicely protected, but not too far away because that range 36 is not going to cover the whole of the board. So, and it means I can deploy at different angles, trying to catch the opponent with Markerlight shots. The great thing about these guys as well is their ballistics goes 3+, and that's pretty reliable. And that's about it. Get +2 for cover, so incentive there to stick them in a room for 2 up save, and the drone uplink, but I don't use the sniper drones. So that's about it. Just the Markerlight shot ready, hidden away. And if I can keep them so the opponent can't shoot at them and they stay alive each turn, that's my Markerlight shots coming in every turn. And unless the opponent's got decent snipers and so on, there's not much they can do about them. So better. I was using, like I mentioned, the Skyrim missile defense ship was just getting blown away. I was losing the Markerlight ability with that, and then I was also using, I used to use the Pathfinders. The opponent knows what they're armed with and they just blow them away and you've lost your Markerlights. So I'm trying to be a bit more clever, a bit more cunning with the Markerlights. And I haven't got tons of Markerlight shots, just 1, 2 and 3, but it's very reliable. 3 up to hit, 2 up to hit, and good chances it's going to survive throughout the game, granting me those Markerlight hits. And I've got that stratagem that I can play if I'm lacking in hits. So one more elite left, and it's the Ghostkeel. He is in the list here. I really wanted to put him in because I think the model's fantastic. One of the best models here for the Tau. If you don't have one of these, it's a brilliant kit. It's a big model, and it's just excellent. I wouldn't say it's one of the strongest performers in the list. It's got a bit hit and miss, but a great distraction for the opponent for sure. There's the 2 drones that it comes with as well, the stealth drones. So we'll put him in. Ghostkeel. He's 82 points. We pay 39 points. For the Cyclic Iron Raker is the combination of Gunfor, 42 points for the 2 Fusion Blasters. I pay 12 points for the Target Lock upgrade, which I'll cover in just a moment, and then 20 points. I was wondering what that's for the 2 drones. That gives me a total of just under 200 points, 195 points for the Ghostkeel, including drones. So, tactics for this guy is a distracting unit. It's a headache for the opponent. If the opponent ignores the Ghostkeel and it starts to survive into the later turns of the game, it'll be increasingly harder to kill. You know, if this thing's in good shape towards the end of the game, the drone's nearby, opponent's going to have a lot less firepower left because the exchange of firepower unit's been destroyed, and then because he's so hard, or can be so hard to hit, all of a sudden this unit becomes quite difficult to remove. So I found the opponent often try and go after him quite quick, and you'll absorb a lot of attention and firepower, and he's able to protect himself pretty good with these bonuses or these minuses to hit here. So the first one is the Electro Warfare suit. Your opponent must subtract 1 from hit rolls for models attacking this model from more than 6 inches away. So you're sort of keeping him away from the opponent. Over 6 inches away, it's -1 to hit. And then also the drones, a Ghostkeel unit within 3 inches of any of the friendly stealth drones. So either of them, if you lose one, it's still going to get the bonus. It's another -1 from your hit roll. So you're looking at a total of -2 if all is well. Tactics I use, I move him out, and then the drones I'll tuck behind, or tuck the drones, say there's a wall here, then I'll hide the drones behind that, and the opponent can't see them, shoot at them, but they can still grant the bonus. Just crafty sort of ways of trying to keep those drones alive. He dies though, my Ghostkeel dies a lot. It's just the way so you stick him out somewhere I know he's going to draw a lot of attention, but it means the opponent's firing at him. And my philosophy is if the opponent fires at something else, say Longstrike, he's going to hit a non-ballistic skill. If he shoots at him, yes, he's going to fire at him, but it's going to take more effort to do it because it's with the minuses to hit. See, like a Predator, for example. Predator goes after Longstrike, 3s to hit with the laser cannons. Predator goes after him, it's 5s to hit from long range. A great thing is Infiltrator. During deployment, this model and any accompanying drones may be set up anywhere on the battlefield that is not within your opponent's deployment zone and is more than 12 inches away from an enemy unit. So, yeah, no man's land he can go in. If you need to grab something quick and be in a certain area quickly, then he's got that brilliant deployment ability. And also, you know, you set up more than 12 inches away from the opponent. So say your opponent's here, his unit, so he's got to leave him rush or something. And turn 1 comes along, more than 12 inches away, but his move is 12. So you can go nice and quick, and then potentially shoot and charge. And, you know, silence the tank and fire at something as well. So he's annoying. He's a useful asset to have. I've got a static, well not static, but I've got a clustered gun line that's going to sit there and blast away. But now I've got a unit that's free to move around and cause trouble and be a distraction. So the Ghostkeel is an important part of this Tau army for sure. So for him, I go for the double fusion blaster, just that tank busting ability there that can cause a real headache for vehicles. So you get the 2 shots there, and then the cyclic eye rake is sort of an all-round type weapon. It's heavy 6, it guarantees you 6 shots, range 24, heavy 6, strength 7 -1. There's a bit of damage you can do against things like Space Marines and light vehicles. Oh, you can overcharge, same amount of shots, 6 shots, strength 8 -1, D3 damage, and he wins, it's a mortal wound. I then give him the target lock, which is absolutely vital. It's 12 points. Model with target lock does not suffer the penalty of moving and firing heavy weapons or of advancing and firing assault weapons. So his cyclic iron raker is heavy, but now with the target lock there's no minus. Otherwise he'd be on 5s to hit, which would be a nightmare. And the fusion blaster as well, you can move an assault with that, or move and make an advanced move and still shoot with no minus. So there's a bit of speed there, 12 plus a d6, so it's nice and quick, and still fire his fusion blasters. So, yeah, he's hit and miss. So I don't rely on him to do too much. If I send him against a vehicle, sometimes he'll pop the vehicle open, rarely. Other times he'll just miss with everything. So, sort of a hit and miss unit with him. But he's there and he's a presence on the board, and the opponent usually tries to deal with him. But it takes a fair bit of effort there because of the minuses to hit. So that's the Ghostkeel, and that fulfills my 3rd elite here for this army. If you want to see tactics, there's a tactics video for him and more discussion, and there's loads of comments that Tau players have left about how to use the Ghostkeel, what combinations, configurations and so on to go for. That's the Ghostkeel. Drops the Riptide. I had tried him out and didn't like him, so the Riptide's gone. Didn't last very long. Still not impressed with him. They'd said that Games Workshop had. There are certain combinations that work well for the Riptide, but I have dropped him. He is out. Didn't go for Pathfinders either. Moving on to fast attack now. So yeah, fast attack, and again for a brigade you need 3. You have to take 3, and so I've just gone for a cheap units here. But a very vital part of the army. shield drones, MV4 shield drones. Again, not many tower players. A lot of them going after marker drones. I've gone for shield drones. Here. It says here you can go for units of 4 as the minimum, which is what I've gone for. They're 10 points each. They're cheaper drone to go for. So 40 points. I'll take 1, 2, 3 units of them all the same. So went through my old box and looked for as many shield drones as I could, and I've been revamping them up. There's one unit of 4. Then there's another unit of 4 here. I'll move him out of the way. Another unit here. Some of these have got the old lead parts to them here. There's another one. And then I borrowed some others from some of the old commanders and Shadow Sun with the white rims to form another unit of 4, just that. So 12 in total. And these are a vital part of this army here. So I went for shield drones because of the 4+ invuln save. Makes them a bit more durable if they're shot at themselves. Because they're not characters, they're units. The opponent sees them, he's able to go after them, and so I want a bit of protection for them. So 4 up invuln save. Then in addition, roll d6 each time a drone with this ability loses a wound. On a 5+, the drone does not lose a wound. So it dies, you can get it to come back on 5+. But not if it works. It's an interesting way it works. If this drone's taken out by a las cannon and the opponent rolls a 6 damage, then it's 6 rolls of 5+ to try and keep it alive. But it works in a different way when you try and protect other units. So I'll show you here. So you've got a commander and drones nearby. So we go to save your protocols, it's here. If a Sept infantry or Sept battlesuit unit within 3 inches, so you can't use it for your vehicles. Sadly, drones can't protect the vehicles, but battlesuits, so that's your broadsides commander here as well. In 3 inches, you've got to keep the drones close by. If it's wounded by an enemy attack, if he's taken a wound, say a las cannon's got his hit, got his wound, roll a d6. On a 2+, you can allocate that wound to the drone's unit instead of the target. So that las cannon hit comes through, it's wounded him. I roll my dice to get a 2+. I say, right, this drone's unit here is going to take that las cannon damage. You can allocate, roll a d6, you can allocate that wound, so it's not the damage, it's the wound. The wound's come through, we haven't rolled for damage yet, just the wound has come through to that unit. You allocate that wound to the drone's unit instead of the target. If you do so, that drone's unit suffers a mortal wound instead of the normal damage. Instead of rolling like a d6 for your las cannon, it just turns into a mortal wound. So a mortal wound means a drone will die. And then, for the shield generator here, roll a d6 each time a drone with this ability loses a wound. Remember, it's a wound that's come through, a mortal wound. On 5+, that drone is not removed. So infuriatingly, for the opponent, sometimes a las cannon shot comes through. Say it's him, doesn't matter. Say he's the closest model and he gets shot at. The hit comes through, the wound comes through, and then 2+, this little drone comes out, he takes the las cannon wound, and then 5+, all of a sudden he comes back. He just, that deadly shot turns into a nothing. So infuriating. But that's the excellent use that you can use there. For shield drones in particular. If it's a regular drones unit, you can just say 2+, that model dies and that's it. But for drones, there's a chance of them, a third of a chance of them coming back. And it all helps to try and preserve and keep these alive. The drones are able to, they're quick enough, moving 8, and they are able to Manta strike as well. So sometimes I might keep a unit of these off the board. And at some point during the game, one of my units somewhere needs a bit of protection, I'll just drop these in. And some drones turn up. So I've got a Ghostkeel, and I really need them to stay alive. It's turn 3. I can drop these in nearby, behind a wall, within near the Ghostkeel, and all of a sudden the opponent's going to fire a Devastator squad at them. The drones will take the hits and keep the Ghostkeel alive. So that's sort of the sneaky tactics you can use. The main use of my drones is to have them hang around with my broadside battlesuits. And so broadsides battlesuits, with all of their bristling firepower, the opponent sees that they need to be destroyed. Las cannon shots, melter shots start coming in. The drones absorb the damage. I usually try and deploy the drones hidden away somewhere behind lots of units they can't be seen, or behind a wall or a hillside, but keeping them within the 3 inches of my models to grant that protection. And they are a tactical, exceptionally good tactical asset. You know, you've got your heavy firepower, opponent's got his. Yours is, they say they match each other. Both sides can cause as much damage, but if I can keep my firepower alive longer than the opponent's, then I'll win the firefight. You know, and that deadly turn 1 thing going on with 8th edition as well, this is a sort of a countermeasure to that. The opponent sees the threat of your broadsides, but he's got to chew through the drones first, and so it's going to make it that much harder. So you'll see that combination, look out for that as well. Drones backing up my broadsides, keeping them alive. If I can keep my broadsides alive, chucking out shots every turn of the game, then it just puts the town in a stronger and stronger position. So sort of covering all the tactics as I go along here, you sort of see the reasoning behind what I'm doing. So yeah, we're on to broadsides then. We're into heavy support. Here. So XV88s. The first unit I've gone for is the heavy rail rifles. So I've changed things around. This army's been reshaped too. I've gone for 2 of these, like so. Now this isn't a popular combination, but they're okay. They've done well enough, and so they're in the list. This is just to back up. If I lose my hammerheads, I lose my long range firepower quickly, and so I need other units that can fire at a very long range. Don't want to be in a situation where my gun line's out of range of anything. So these guys with the heavy rail rifles is range 60, excellent range, heavy 2 shots at a time, strength 8, -4 d6 damage, and his 6 is a mortal wound. It's a decent gun. It is decent enough. So I pay 60 points for these. Then I pay 35 points for the heavy rail rifle, 5 points for a seeker missile, and then 22 points for the double plasma rifle. And again, not a popular choice, but I've stuck with it, and it's proved useful at times. It has proved useful. So that's the combination. If you like the colour scheme here, this is, I think it's one of these models here I painted in the painting tutorial. I think it's this one here. So if you like the way these have come out and achieve the same results, then check out that painting tutorial here for the Tau on the channel. So that gives me a total here for these of 122 points. I think they're an absolute bargain for that points cost. It is a unit of 2, so the 2 are chosen together. You can take up to 3 of them in the same unit. So these are well, even though I've got drone protection for them, they're well protected. They're strength 5, toughness 5, they're 6 wounds if the opponent's trying to get through, and a 2-up save. They're brilliant. They're very solid. And then the heavy rail rifle is your long range firepower. The great thing about 8th edition now is you can fire at different targets with different weapons. So, you know, you can have a variety of weapons. You have some anti-infantry weapons and some anti-tank, and they can fire off in different directions, which is excellent. And even though these 2 are together, you can split fire as well, so the models can fire at different targets also. So brilliant. Heavy 2, so again, I'll try and keep these guys stationary, otherwise all of a sudden if they move, they're on 5s to hit. Strength, we've covered the calibre of that weapon. Then the Seeker missile there, just to add a little bit more punch to it as well. If there is a big threat somewhere on the board, I can call in all of the Seeker missiles from wherever they're positioned on the board, from the different targets, bring them all in, and they can all support together against the target. So sometimes you'll see that in the game, so it's coordinated, calling in the Markerlight. This is the point where I call in all the Seeker missiles, say it's a Baneblade for example, just let loose all the missiles and try and take it out. So there's a couple more on those modelled on. They look very cool as well with the rocket just sitting there. So there's that, the Seeker missile, and then I give them the plasma rifle, range 24, rapid fire 1. So you're paying for 2 of them, so you're going to get 2 shots at range 24 or 4 shots at range 12. Strength 6 -3. So this is my anti-heavy infantry. So I get some assault marines get too close, or some hellblasters or something like that, these are pretty helpful against heavier infantry. So that's the main use for them, and I found it helpful. You know, I've got my fire warriors here. They're struggling to get rid of these space marines that are in cover, getting a 2-up save. My plasma rifles can help flush them out with their AP -3. Yep, so it's okay, they're alright. So not too bad. So 122 points. This is a cheaper option as well, the plasma rifles. That's them. The other one is XV88s again, but a different combination. This is the new addition. The main change to this list is my second unit of broadsides. That's these guys. I'm really glad to see these back. I just love the look of them. It's the missile combination here for these, so I'll just put them there, 1 and 2 of them. So now my gun line, it used to have just them, but now my gun line's got 2 lots of these. Now it's become a real hub of variety of firepower. So the more expensive start at 60, 30 points for a smart missile system, 5 points for yeah, these ones, there's an upgrade on these. 5 points for the smart, for the Seeker missile. And then I've got to pay for the high yield missile pod, which is 50 points. 50 points for the high yield missile pod. Yeah, there's an upgrade here, actually. Yeah. Yes, that's right. There is an upgrade on here. It's 124 points for these, not 122, because I pay 2 points for a velocity tracker. On there's a conundrum with these, and it's down here. Here. Any model, this is the broadsides, any model may take 1 item from the support systems list. This has been the difficult thing here for the broadsides. You're restricted to 1, which is a shame. Target velocity tracker I would have given to all of these, both squads, but I can't do both. As you'll see here, add 1 to the hit rolls for a velocity tracker for units that can fly. So your flyers, your skimmers, wave serpents and so on. So these guys get it. It's cheap, it's 2 points to do it. I would give it to these guys, but instead the upgrade I've gone for on these, which I think is better, is worth doing, and that is the advanced targeting system. It's just an extra -1 on the AP for your weapons. I just think that's a much better option to take. And again, it's in the tactics video. I cover it in that video there in more length for discussion. A lot of key tactics videos on the channel at the moment for the tower, as we go into the depths of Tactica for them. So that is actually it's 12 points, I think. It is expensive. That's the only downside. Yeah. The advanced targeting system is 12 points, but it helps. It really does help. So it's 12 points to take that as well. It does push the cost of these up, but I really do think it is worth it. Yeah, so it comes at 157 points, then 157 points for the second one as well. Again, it's a unit of 2 I've gone for, so they're both in the same unit. So that's my two heavy support slots so far. So, got to remember, these guys will not get their velocity tracker bonus. These guys do, for them to use up that slot they could take. It's not worth taking the advanced targeting system, I don't think. It's already on -4 for the heavy rail rifle anyway, for the AP. So the high yield missile pod, remember this is 2 high yield missile pods. So 1 high yield missile pod is heavy 4. It's going to be 8 shots for these, because I've got 2 of them. Strength 7, it's already at -1. Now with the advanced targeting system, it's AP -2, and then D3 damage. Just means if I fire at Terminators, for example, instead of granting 2-up save becomes a 3-up save, it will become a 4-up save. It just means that your damage is going to start getting through a lot more reliably. Space Marines will be getting a 5-up save instead of a 4-up, just with that advanced targeting system. Range 36, so sort of medium-ish kind of range, and D3 damage, so for shooting up vehicles, heavy infantry, monsters, Terminators, Primaris Marines, just all excellent, and even regular vehicles. So this is my all-rounder firepower for these. Whatever I need to shoot at, they can fire at pretty much anything and cause trouble. Anything, any target. Hordes, just for the amount of volume of shots. Elite infantry, multiple wounds, yes, lots of shots and sort of D3 damage coming through each time. And then also, if I need to fire a vehicle and knock some wounds down, then they're perfectly capable of doing that as well. So I think they're an excellent choice. And then the smart missile system, which we've seen earlier on the hammerheads, the only benefit for these is going to be AP-1. So now all of a sudden, you fire a unit of hidden space marines inside a crater, you know, usually get a 2-up save. They actually drop to a 4-up save because of the -1, and also they ignore the benefit of cover for a smart missile system. So excellent. So, and you're seeing at times the gun line struggling to flush something out. The support coming in from the broadsides will help do that. So I like that combination. A bit more expensive, but I think worth doing. And then with the drones, the idea is to try and keep these more expensive heavy firepower units alive for as long as possible. So that's that one. So then we're just down to, I dropped the Skyray missile defense ship. It was just getting blown away, and the times when it did stay alive, I let loose of all of my missiles, and it was like, well, then what do I do with it now? It's just empty, and it's not that great. So I dropped that, and I've paid for these other units that you've seen. And then the last heavy support is a hammerhead gunship. And that comes in at 100 points. 30 points to the smart missile system, just exactly the same configuration as Longstrike. We saw the model earlier on. 38 points to the railgun. And 10 points for the 2 Seeker missiles. Here's 178 points. And for a main battle tank, 178 points I think is pretty good. So now if you think about it, you got Longstrike and the hammerhead. To destroy them two, that's 26 wounds the opponents try and get through. It's a lot. And the Tau also have an excellent stratagem. Automated repair system for 2 command points. Use the stratagem at the start of any turn. Pick a vehicle or a battlesuit. That model regains D3 lost wounds. You can start repairing. Because I've got so many command points for this army, 15 of them to use, and generating freebies as well. I'm able to chew through that automated repair system, and it's helped out a number of times to restore wounds on tanks and damaged battlesuits. So we'll get a total here for this list. So that's the list then. I've just gone through my total for the whole army, and it comes to 1,987 points. I thought I was a bit short. So the spare points, you can leave your own suggestions here, but for the spare points, I reckon I should give a velocity tracker to the Ghostkeel. It's 10 points. Velocity tracker for a Ghostkeel is 10 points. So that puts me on 1987, 1997. So now a Ghostkeel's firepower is much more reliable against targets that can fly, so skimmers, other flyers and so on, that kind of thing. I think it's probably worth doing. So that gives me 1997. Yeah, and if I got 3 spare points, yeah. Yep. Okay, I reckon what I'm going to do then is give a velocity tracker to the commander as well. So I'll just add it in here. So 12 points for a velocity tracker to the Ghostkeel, and 2 points for a velocity tracker to the commander. That means I'm firing, say for example, firing against an opponent's flyer. Storm Raven comes flying over the top. 2's to hit becomes 3's to hit, back to 2's to hit again. So that I reckon would be very useful, just for the sake of 2 points. That gives you a grand total of 1,999 points. There's different options you can go for, but just a few little benefits that I think are well worth doing. And I can do that velocity tracker because my commander has taken no support systems at all. And then for the Ghostkeel, I've already taken the target lock, but you are allowed to take up to 2 items from the support systems list, so it is legal to do that as well, I believe, for him. So the other option, someone has suggested it here on the channel, and that is to take a shield generator. I could do that on the Ghostkeel, that's 12 points, could do that instead of giving the velocity tracker to the commander. But there's little tweaks and things there. A list always has little small things that can be changed around, but happy I think with the way that's come out. So usually if I'm on the Plus channel and I'm proposing a list, I'll draw a footprint out on the page just to give the viewers an idea. Because this army is complete, I'm going to zoom out and we'll actually look at the real army here and see how it looks, all laid out and arrayed, ready for war. It's quite a vast size to this force here, which is one of the main aims I wanted for this Tau army. Alright, so there it is. That's the final Tau army here. It's a big size to this army, nicely bulked out. The way we've been able to do that is the cheap infantry units, keeping the upgrades away, avoiding putting drones and Markerlights and so on with them, keeping them nice and cheap. 70 points a time. It looks like half the army, but it's actually a very cheap element here. And then been able to fulfill that brigade by taking cheap infantry units, the drones, minimal size, small units of those, and then the Firesight Marksmen, they're nice and cheap as well. So been able to fulfill those slots and have spare points to pay out for sort of decent units here in the form of the hammerheads and the broadsides. Now I really like the hammerheads, they're just my sort of favourite iconic model. Great to see them back for this Tau army, so really glad to have them. I love the Ghostkeel, so managed to bring him into the army, and then my broadsides here, I really like them, and the idea of them in amongst the gun line chucking out firepower is really cool. And I've kept my commander in the list also, and so a bit more of a wiser and more cautious, I don't say cautious, but sort of a wiser, more tactical use for him in the game, and multiple things for him to get on with, to use his Master of War ability, and then to hang around with units instead of going off doing his own thing, instead remain with the army and benefit them. And then these little characters here are all going to give some nice enhancements to my Tau gun line. So you'll see the gun line is this sort of chunk. You'll see them hanging around with the commander in the HQs. You'll see the hammerheads off in some corner somewhere, and the Ghostkeel is free to go wherever he wants, and the breach is sort of moving out, responding to threats, and then also going out on missions as well. So that's the way this Tau sort of operates. And then the overall plan is just to blast the opponent to Kingdom Come, and then move out, clear away the last of resistance. I hope to do that in games. Keep a lookout. I hope to field these in some challenge games and also some key battles for the Tau. They've performed well on the channel, and this season there could be a chance they'll cause trouble for some of the top armies. So keep a lookout for them fighting against the Guard. They've already had a go against the Guard on the Plus channel, and then also keep a lookout for them fighting against the Ultramarines. 2 armies that we'd love to perform well against. Whether this list can do it, we'll have to see. We can theorise as much as you want to, but it's really down to the actual games is when you get to see the results. But I'm happy with this list here. In the comment section below, leave you any suggestions and changes, tactics I may have missed, units you would drop out or add in. So make your predictions about this army as well, how well you think it will do. And then if you're watching this video, be sure to check out the comment section below, see what others have said, some very experienced Tau players out there that will share their battlefield knowledge and experience with you and help you construct a Tau army of your own. The list is in the description below. Feel free, you can copy this list if you wish. You can use this exact army, see how well you get on with it if you're able to do so as well. But that is the complete army for the Tau. They are ready for war, and the Tau Empire prepares to expand once again. Keep a lookout for more completed armies, working on new armies and different armies at the moment. Thanks for watching, and tune in next time.